Welcome to the Big Three, where we get to talk about this week's sermon from North Boulevard Church of Christ in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. We'll take questions and make observations from you, me, John, and our special guest this week, Jax Lilly.
Hey, it's great to be with you guys.
Have y'all met?
A few times.
Once or twice,
Casually, you know.
Well, was this the end? I didn't realize this was the end of the Upside Down series.
Yeah, the last day of the series.
Okay, well, it was a great ending for a great series. I'm trying to get my thing open because I have to give my summary. And wow, this might be the summary for the whole series, but it's pretty simple. 5 steps here. God has a plan. His plan involves a journey. It's not always going to be easy, and it may not be short.
Yeah.
But the plan always involves Jesus.
Amen.
So anyway, so I probably stepped all over y'all's observations, but that's it. That's my summary right there.
I mean, if we all listen to the same sermon, then we should all kind of have similar things to talk about, right? But that was a great summary.
Thank you.
And so let's start. Jax, do you want to start with your observation or a question you had or something?
So the last point, John, that you made, it's all about Jesus. You know, throughout the book of Acts, we saw the selection of Matthias to replace Judas within the apostles. We saw the eunuch. We saw Tabitha. We followed Paul. And with each one of these, you saw their story to the end, and then it moved on.
Right.
This wasn't the book of Matthias, the book of Paul. This was a story of the creation of the early church, and the whole point was following Jesus. And it was these people who were transformed by Jesus and by his work in their lives. And so that was really just kind of the main focus point of the whole book, that central theme of Jesus Christ.
And a lot of times, like, the Bible doesn't give you all the details.
That's
but
right.
it gives you what you need to know.
Right.
And so you heard like the bits with Peter that were important to the story. You heard the bits with Philip. You got like one story with Philip.
Yeah.
And then moved on because it was like, here's how all these different people are sharing the gospel.
Yeah.
And something that kind of came to mind on that was the phrase you hear sometimes as like, if God calls you to something and you say no, he's going to move on and find somebody else.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, like, be honored that God chose you to share the gospel and to move forward his plan and like choose to participate in that. You know?
Yeah, I love the idea that we all get to make some kind of contribution to the story during. David Young used to use this phrase a lot. That this is our watch.
Yeah.
Like this is our turn, and so we have to steward this church during this moment. But the truth of the matter is, it's ultimately about Jesus. Yeah. So we want to be responsible, do a good job, tell the story well, tell the story rightly. But at the end of the day, nobody gets a statue really, because who would care? Because it's all about Jesus anyway.
It's Jesus' ministry that we are a part of. It's not our ministry that Jesus is a part
of. That
is
exactly. Well said.
Good.
There you go. Jax wins the observation prize. Hey, thanks for being with us today. We're not even going to try to match it. No, I'm just kidding.
Like, we're done. That was it. Go home.
Yeah, nice job. All right, so was that your observation, or do you have another one?
I have another one. That was just a second observation that ended up tying into what he said. But another thing that I took away was that, like how we followed, we really saw pretty much almost the entirety of Paul's journey as a missionary, from his conversion to like his past, his conversion, and what he did after that, and how it took a lot of twists and turns and a lot of different places, and he was beaten, he was thrown in prison, he was like, all these things happened to him. And it was a good reminder that God uses all the parts of your story and all the parts of your life to bring him glory and to share the gospel with other people.
Yep.
And how, like, he can use your past to connect with others. He can use your present. He can use the down points of your life and turn them around. He can use the high points of your life. Like how Kelvin said, just don't give up when you're in the middle of your journey, because it's not short and it's not easy. Yeah. But God can use all of those, all the parts.
Yeah. When you're at what seems like the lowest point in your life, when you're at that point where you just feel there's no coming back from this, there's no redemption arc, that's just the beginning. You know, and that's where, a lot of times people are drawn to one another because we have this I don't want to say shared suffering, but shared suffering. You know,
sure.
You can relate to someone. And I think that a lot of times there's a perception that the church is full of perfect people who have never had an issue in their lives. So when we experience that and come through it on the other side with Jesus Christ, and then we proclaim that and we say, look, you know, Jesus was the one who brought me through this, not my own. It really helps kind of drive home that point.
Yeah, and I'm old enough now that I can look backwards now and see how God used my mistakes.
Yep.
Like the stuff that, man, I just wished I could have taken that back or that back or that back. And then I see it now and I think, oh, God's using that big time. God, I have access to this ministry, or I'm able to communicate with that person because that is part of my story. Now, I'm not saying God wanted me to make maybe those bad choices, but he can use them, like you said.
Yep.
And so what an incredible thing. Well, my observation is pretty close to this one. I think that I always think that even when we feel like we're in step with what God's doing, that it seems like, given enough time, you realize, oh, he was doing something even better than I thought. His plan was actually even better than even when I thought I saw the plan. His plan was better than what I thought he was doing.
Yeah. He's always 10 steps ahead.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. That is well said. All right, there's yours. Okay, so I have no mic drop moments, but both of y'all did. God is always 10 steps ahead. That's really
Yes, he
good.
is.
Hey, that's good stuff. So anything else? It was a great series, great message.
It was really great.
I loved diving into Acts. I'm really curious as to what's going to come next week. What are we going to start diving into?
Yeah,
That's the
I would have
question,
thought
isn't
they
it?
didn't tease us at all, did they?
They didn't,
Like,
no.
We got no teasers.
No.
We're going to be in for a surprise
It's
next
been great.
week.
Hey, guys, if you were here for the whole series, thank you for working through the book of Acts with us. If you guys have any more questions, you can let us know. There's a QR code right there on the screen.
Yeah, and if you want to rewatch this sermon, because it was a pretty great one, if you want to rewatch it during the week or watch it for the first time, you can find it at boulevards.to/sermons. And that is a wrap on this week's Big Three.
Hey, thanks so much for being with us. You can look for this podcast on all of your favorite platforms, and be sure to join us next time for Boulevard's Big Three.